Welcome back to the casting desk, ladies and gentlemen. You've been waiting for this matchup, I want to say for a very long time, but Gambit versus Complexity, a true conversation. Gambit obviously expected to win out this tournament. They are deemed as a potential winner of this entire event. And this battle against Complexity should be speculated by by the majority of viewers and analysts as an easy game for Gambit overall. But I still put up some expectations onto Complexity. I mean, they're having a pack of players to rely on, and I personally want to believe they can make up a huge competition against Gambit right here. All right, we are yet to decide who's going to come out on top, but the first map to start off this action is going to be Mirage. Gambit versus Complexity. They are going to be starting off on the T side. Complexity on the city. The pick of the American organization Intours. This is the first player out towards the ticket booth. So does JKS, but under the pit area. No frags delivered just yet. Only damage to cheap poison down to 14 HP rather. No zeros on the line. Intours sprints himself out of the city spawn and makes himself so exposed to the action. Rush takes him down, but before that, he secures one more. And Gambit are having a really good potential to clutch this round into their piggy bank. Blamaf the only player alive, but not for too long. It is Gambit to pick up the first. 0 for Complexity. The pistol round falls in the way of the Russian squad and one Kazakh on their side. Exiles hold. You've got to be very careful about those players. I mean, you're playing against Gambit, and the reason why so many players are speculating Gambit to win out, it is not only by tactical means, but also by being, appealed by the players. You can see Hobbit taking out Blamaf. The confidence boils over, and so does around all of the players playing for Gambit. I mean, Exile, probably one of the best riflers at the moment in the world. The way he operates with an AK-47 and all of the other weapons is incredibly huge. Shiro as well, the Opper, which is very hard to find in CS. He's been recently beasting around the entire event, the entire couple of months since Gambit started carving their own era, so to speak. Utility dispersed across the B side. Nobody's up close to take any engagements until now. Conflict on short has been met with a huge challenge. Shiro does deliver a tag onto JKS, who stands to run with an AK-47. Caught a bit of a glimpse right there and instantly capitalized on that. 16 HP. Doesn't have any armor to work with. This AK-47 would be very loved to be saved for JKS. But is it going to be the case? The bomb, I mean, if he stays alive, if he stays in the underpass area, I'm afraid he's going to take enough damage for the death at the end of the day. I'm not fully sure. So he's going to probably back off. He knows that it is a risk for sure. One of the players on top of the bricks, that is Exile, drops off and shatters. One more player of defense down. So no save for him. Only one player survived. That was Poison. Not even sure what was the save at the end. Was it a scout? Yeah, probably a scout and nothing else. All right. The second round for Gambit looks to be pretty clean, barring the couple of frags for Complexity to contest against Gambit. Break their economy a little bit, milder it down. They are digging further into this game. Every single player deprived on Gambit's side can cost you an economy in the future rounds. For Gambit specifically, Poison does get a frag with a scout. Hobbit re-peeks the stairwell. Make sure there is no presence up close. Blamaf goes in the end as well, and Gambit with a clean mop up on the A-bomb, suddenly losing one player in the process. But that is not a big deal for them. They've maintained the economy, the players, and that will bloom with $5,000 across 3 players. Inters around $2,000 mark. Here on 3,000. And now he goes for an AWP. The very first time we are seeing Gambit playing with an AWP on the T side in this game. Interesting fact, Complexity have not yet lost any Mirage game to any of the team. This is incredible. Probably Gambit will be able to put a stop to that. We'll be able to revert the trend back in their favor. Complexity are certainly having something to oppose against it. JKS goes for a bit of a spray down right there. On top of the smoke, no damage connected, but Hobbit gets a little bit hasty and paranoid about that, so he goes for the jump, reflected off of those bullet trajectiles. Hit by JKS. 1 HP off of his health bar. But nothing too significant going on. Gambit, 3 rounds already up their sleeves. And it looks like they want to take B eventually. Nobody scattering, nobody really paving his way towards the A-bomb site. With that first frag delivered by Exile, he's going to make his way open into the B-bomb site. But there's one more up close. Config just behind. Underneath, creeps through and does get a frag to Exile, but not good for the second. It is Inters to trade it out. Navani goes in, sprays further, and leaves it a 3-man deficit for Complexity. They are in a world of trouble right now. They've got to go for the decision to save, and 4-0 will be the point reached by Gambit. Indeed, AWP scoped in, poisoned down, and JKS is also being hunted down. He's followed up by Hobbit. His position has not been revealed just yet, so he's going to probably stay in the palace scot-free. The M4A4 will be jaggled over to the next rounds. But it can't be, you know, just M4A4s or any other weapon saved up across the board. Yes, they do contribute, but they've got to be individuals who step up with the kills phenomenally. Just likewise, Exile, Inters, I mean, everybody else on the Gambit side, they are crushing them all down to pieces. Every single time Gambit executes either of the sites, they are letting Complexity see only one thing, that is their death ball and nothing else. Only possibility to save has been reached in the past couple of rounds, but no round success so far. And they definitely need to set themselves up for exactly that purpose. And M4A4 under JKS, the rest are well equipped with the Deagles. And nade onto JKS, so has Rush. With the smoke and with the blame Fs, with also a player having a smoke under his belt. One of them has been thrown off already. Hobbit forces the point of defense back to the ladder position. That molly is gonna go deep enough. I was going to say, but no, there is nobody right there anymore. Confident has slipped through the short, through a bit of a gap, and now locates himself over to the window position. Gambit are still a little bit unaware of what's going on short. They didn't know that he slipped through, so they go for the double check off the ladder. Config with his teammates staying strong on the B-bomb site. Here comes the first frag in their favor, but they've got to squeeze something more. Rush dances around the wall, tries to go for yet another. Config gets a frag. Dig shots, crisp as they should, to tie this round for Complexity. They are going for the frags they need, but Hobbit and Exile are still equipped with the AKs, with powerful weapons to pave themselves into this round of the bomb. It has to be picked up and played right now. JKS denies it, and the round is won. It is a matter of getting residual frags at the end of the day. JKS comes out on top, and there is nobody else surviving the round except for the Complexity players. Nicely done. Great haul with the Eagles. Rush activates himself out of the B-bomb set. Finally, those individuals step up and make a difference in the rounds like that. Also, the time pressure put up on Gambit could not allow them to deliver a smooth bomb plant. Hobbit was so in rush for that bomb to be planted down. His lags were just enough to hit the lag shots for JKS in that angle to deny the bomb plant. So nicely done. All you need is to bounce off the time factor. Once the smoke dissipates, it's going to come down to the timing. Poison turns around and it might not expect to be that close. Nafany falls. Rush saves the day for Poison, perhaps from the A-bomb set on a low range. And for a 4. The AWP beta team are thinking that it's going to be a, a stair focus. But then Rush picks out and does get a frag. Well timed out by Complexity, and they've already picked up a man advantage 2, in fact. Gambit Esports are just hoping for the mistakes to be done by them. They've ducked themselves onto the ramp. Interest is currently sprawling towards the A-bomb side from the apps. About to do so once it comes down to 30-second mark. I believe they're going to make a move. As long as they realize that no presence is going to be shown by Complexity up to this point, I think it is, it is just going to be a matter of saving your weapons that are not even inching themselves closer to execute the A-bomb side. Even if they go right now, there are still will be no time to defuse to deny, to plant the bomb down. That's what I was going to say. So they're gonna be deeply ingrained into the ground and deliver those salvages of their weapons. 3 players surviving for the Gambit side. Also a fair pack of utility left on their shoulders. Peak by Exile, capitalized on by Poison with an AWP. Rush as well getting that very crucial frag with Nafany. Nafany was trying to work himself into getting a refrag because that first AWP shot by Poison bought them a huge confidence right there, and he knew what Poison was up to, so he tried to position himself close enough for the frag possibility to be as likely as possible. So nice idea, Nafany, but there are the heroes to bolster their teammates up from the back, so never count them out as well. JKS posting himself towards the pit area. That is a very deep smoke. Gambit cannot make themselves out of this one, but I'm not sure if there is a gap to capitalize on for Nafany. There is not. JKS takes the shot instead. And Molly to follow up. The denial of any Palace presence. Interest has to stay away and don't pop his head out. Again, a 3-man survival for Gambit. They may need to go for yet another save. That is a desperate one. But I don't think there is any sense in going for trying and break into either of the sides. B looks to be a way more appealing side of the map for them to do so, but still with config set up with an AWP towards short and Rush as well, watching down the B-bomb side over the apps, just jumping a little bit and gathering those pieces of information to be contributing to the overall picture. 2-4 on the scoreline. It looks to be the third for Complexity, shrinking the gap down to 1 round only. The 20-second mark is going to be outplayed already as I finish the sentence. And, yep. Complexity again. The second round, they force Gambit into that kind of a save. Now this time around, they're having their economy not in the best position, I would say, but still good enough for the hunt down to be committed. But I don't think there is any sense in doing so because they are likely to miss a fair portion of their weapons. So better preserve them as well and work against heavily bruised by on the Gambit side because, well, 1 AK-47, Galiliar, and an AWP onto Shira. I think the rest are going to be playing with upgraded pistols. So in terms of that, Complexity are having a real chance to pick up the fourth. The AI prediction favors Complexity in that regard. I'm pretty sure about that, although it has not yet been shown on top of the table. Based on the odds, this weapon should be way better against the ones Gambit have right now. Of course, it can come down to the individual setup. Inability and everything else right there. JKS delivers the spray down. He needs Gambit. Falls right into his claws. That allows him to get the frag, but instead, a backfire delivered by Gambit, either not falling behind. Still keeping this one more or less competitive despite their weapons. Poison does get a frag at Anthony as he goes for the switch up of weapons. Shiro shrinking his eyes towards that little gap over the B site. Rush sees the first player jumping out of the apartments. It looks like Inters was going for the double check, but he costs him life. Exile gets one more over the short, and that makes it a 2-on-2. The nade deployed deals quite a lot of damage onto Shiro, but because he's played it with the nade ability, should not be a focus of concern. Now even more bruised, but he's going to be playing up close with an AWP. One more on Exile, but it misses a very vital shot. The smoke dissipates, and Confid delivers the frag through the smoke. Shiro for the back does get a no-scope as well. And that puts it into a one-on-one. The right diffuse gets onto Config. The time is ticking away. He's going to go for the move right now. Taps the bomb. Shiro picks out. And that will be the punishment received on the other end of Gambit. Complexity tie up the score line. What a volatile round by many means. The fact that Rush had been allowed to stay in this position for such long made them get the first frag. Also, allowing the first player to jump out of the B apartments. Inters went for the double check. It looked so. But luckily, Rush was able to get that frag. That was a very crucial one. The one they needed to enable the retake for Complexity in a way more competitive fashion. There is a player walking behind the molly, but both of them cannot see a thing as it fires up. Blame after JKS contributed with 2 frags immediately after the first one got taken by Gambit. Still covered up with the smokes, but Gambit are nowhere close to the A-bomb site. Neither of the teams have any idea what to do in this round. Complexity are still sticking around the A-bomb site. Gambit are making it look like they are rotating to B, but instead continue to press their buddies into the A-bomb site. 3 of the members on the Complexity side are still gravitating towards that. Until now, Poison considers that this may be a wrap-up from the B side as well. 2 of the players are posting themselves towards B. Right now, only Blaymath dispatched over that side of the map. 2 against 3 of the Gambit members executed the A-bomb side. The AWP present. Poison peeks out, but that does not yield anything in this one. Hobbit with an AWP covered off. Rush does put up a coat onto him. Death Ball. Blaymath is up against to his own for the clutch. The AWP picked out. He does see a tip of his head. Throws out a molly. This will burn him down to somewhat. But only 90 HP. Blaymath is in a lot of trouble. He's probably having a thought to go for the save from this point. He does have diffuse kits, but he's got to get the frag. Inters is also very low HP, 22 to be more precise, but Shiro doesn't care. He says, guys, I'm going to handle it on my own. The Deagle pulled out, no AWP needed. Always nice to see the sniper riflers to operate with the Deagle as well, not only in AWP. This is very great to have a very versatile player on your side. Just a tip of the head protruding out of the wall, and that it hits perfectly nice. Double up setup for Complexity. This is going to be a setup for a very strong aggressiveness over the middle position. Two of the AWP players are heading around that area specifically. JKS has been designated to watch down the pit area. There is a smoke up there. He also has one of his own to refresh it. Or rather, it wasn't confident. Sorry, JKS does not have any of that. So he's going to lurk himself behind the wall. Cannot afford to refresh that one and secure more safe space on the A-bomb side. 3 players on the middle may have application right now, but no. Playmat falls, and the 2 other players are nowhere to be found. They've been scattered away as well by the Gambit players executing the mid position. They also leave a Linafany right there, and the rest are pivoting themselves back to the A-bomb side. Inchors up close. There is one player that is JKS. Once he falls, either of these players are going to be down. Here they come. Inchors experiences his death, and JKS with a triple kill onto the ramp position. Poison as well. Hits an AWP shot onto the guy walking out of the shadow right through the connector area. And Exile is on the mission to retrieve an AWP. Nothing else he can do in this round. The bomb is dropped. Yep, it is right under his nose. But with 15 seconds on the clock, it is highly limited, so he's going to go for the option available only to him this round, and that is to save his weapon. Full set of utility as well. None of that has been emptied in this round, I believe. All right, now it will be. So one smoke off. And he preserves that AWP. That is going to be jaggled over to Shiro. And instead, he will more likely to go for the rifle instead. Yeah, JKS with a very crucial pick down the ramp. Again, he's been so aggressive in that angle, and I'm so surprised Gambit have not yet used any utility to force him out of that position. They could use a flashbang, a nade molly, or something else to at least stimulate JKS back. But no, he is persevere enough about his position. He doesn't want to give up whatsoever. He's holding this one dead to his rights, and this has been proven in this round specifically. 3 kills up to his name, straight off the bat, and this ties up the score line. Complexity on the city side, Gambit at the T, having a pretty slack buy, but they will be able to go for the Galil to close out the string. The rest playing with 3 AKs and an AWP onto Shiro. So I've mentioned that's been dropped over by Exile, who saved it in the previous round. Double up setup for Complexity still remains their agenda in the round number 11. We've seen it 3 times in a row, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 4. And so far, working out very nice. Although it is rather Rifler stepping up with the kills instead of the uppers. But still a very nice thing to bear in mind. Hobbit puts out the lags towards the connector area. Does end up being more careful about that rather than peek and try. Instead, throw some utility out, tries to bring Blamap down. It is going to be down by Nafany instead. Gets a reverse damage down to 8 HP. Hobbit is about to walk himself out of the connector area. He's done so already. He can catch up one player towards pit. He will do so indeed. JKS is fallen, and the access to the A-bomb side is totally unlocked. But look at Complexity. Oh my god, this might be a genius play. Instead, they are grouping over to the B-bomb side. They are stacking it all together. They're probably hoping to go for the safe, but this may be a trap for Gambit themselves. Here comes the utility. This round may be flipped upside down here and now. The AWP shot missed. Poison drops, and Config, the only player alive with an AWP up. Here, he will be dropped as well. Oh my lord, that could have gone awry for Gambit for sure. They threw Hobbit into the A-bomb side to get the first frag to JKS, cleared it up totally. Made a free access for the rest of the team to come in, but he hoped that Complexity would have rotated over to the A-bomb side, but instead stick to round B, and tickled my nerves a little bit because that looked to be a possibility for sure. And I do wonder if this stack was done intentionally. Like, you know, the captain, the config said, guys, let's just press back into the B-bomb site and gamble on whether they will go for the B attack instead of A. That they will be, you know, baited into thinking that we have already rotated ourselves back to the A-bomb site and the B-bomb site is already cleared. But no, it's not. We're going to go for exactly that gamble. Or rather, just going for the safe. Yeah, it's probably a combination of two. But I don't think they really expected Gambit to walk into the B-bomb side like that after getting the opener onto A. Here comes a set of kills on the middle. Exchange is found. So far, neither of the sides will be favored in this contention. 3-on-3. Enters. Does make sure it favors Gambit up close and personal. On the A-bomb side, throws out a nade as well. He hears one more player up close, does get the frag, and puts Gambit onto their odds, rising to the occasion. 6th round already, and probably the 7th one is definitely on the line. Blame map position is known. Gambit will charge straight into the B-bomb site with the bomb delivered, undoubtedly so. AWP swoops in. So does Exile, who has already positioned himself further into the kitchen area. Blamaf has been spotted and probably will go for the save instead, or rather swirl back to the kitchen area, but Exile is too deep. Too deep for Blamaf's comfort, and he will get that frag trouble-free. So Gambit picking out the 7th rounds and making this one just one away from having the T-stat already in advantage on the first half. Complexity 5 rounds in their bag. 2 behind for the tiebreak. So far, peds out very good for Gambit, considering they're playing on the T-side as well. That is a very huge victory for them. 7 rounds already. Very nice morsel to chew on. Nafati with Shiro, they were having just a shooting gallery in the middle. The nade to follow it up as well. I mean, no damage, no serious things shown by Complexity. Nothing to be worried about for Gambit. JKS is on the G2. But, you know, if you are new to this game, you could actually mistakenly pronounce JKS as Jax. Yeah, you know, 3 letters, you can say JKS, you know, like separately, each letter pronounced, or rather just go for the straight word, like Jax. Yeah, could be the case. If you don't know the snake name, you could pronounce it exactly that way. But we know, we are aware enough. Keep our head on a swivel in this game and don't let any detail slip through. I mean, JKS has been a very popular player back in Renegades. Already made his career and now battling for the likes of Complexity with the rest of the team. Not the previous squad he had, but definitely a new one to sail with. And they will be continuing to sail through the matchup against Gambit on Mirage. 5-8 so far. Gambit already having a round advantage on the first half. Great flashbang thrown out by Shiro to blind Config completely and catch him off guard. Nafani does get the frag. Config, the only and totally naked player of defense who posts himself towards the middle position, has now been caught off. Enters, tucked himself out of the corner. Surely JKS has no idea about that, and he will spot him easily. So, does get a frag onto JKS as well. The A-bomb side should be nowhere to be troublesome for Gambit to plant the bomb down and secure the 9th round for themselves. Complexity has to go for the save. They haven't been able to charm in any of those frags in the recent couple of rounds. And they also have not been able to grow their economy as well. Gambit is definitely seeing a very nice bloom right there. I mean, whatever they lost, It will be offset by the number of bucks they have in their bank accounts in the next couple of rounds. In the next round, just next round remaining, the smoke, or rather the bomb will explode. Exile, that looked to be a glimpse of his body, but he maybe got distracted a little bit. But at the end, all two players fall flat. Health bars across, Complexity's board. Nobody having a single HP right there, and that is as easy as it is. Gambit are on the 9th, and Complexity looking to close out at least 6th round on their board. Their economy does not allow them to go for a healthy buy. It is rather an action of murder to their economy. Complexity have to go for over-aggression, which is why they are going for exactly that thing. Shiro reads it. He says, guys, they are more likely to have a worse set of weapons rather than we. So let's just wait for them to go for over-aggression. They did so. Gambit reading their opponents from the book. Rush. There's still something to say about this round. Shiro falls. So does Exile. Confident delivers a frag. And also drops 2 more players on the Gambit side down to very low amount of HP. Gambit will be another one to drop down to earth. Gambit are falling apart. They've done 2 frags in the beginning, and now nothing more established. It's just been 3 frags delivered in favor of Complexity. All of them faded away for Gambit. The numbers did dwindle and made Complexity look in a very disadvantageous spot. Right now, Gambit partner up towards the pit area. Rush is currently deep into the site. And the Ninja, to be more precise, he peeks out. And Nafany does have a lineup for that. He does get the frag. 1 more smoke deployed that's going to cover off Poison. Once it blooms, once it hits, they will charge through. But the frag is fast enough for Poison to get that one opened. Open for business. Complexity are having a really big chance to retake it. Nafany does have no idea on the Paladin's presence. Config walks right above, and this information is going to be collected. A huge buffer for Config to capitalize on, and that will be the 6th round for Complexity, no less. So we are having a 3-round gap at the end of the first half. We will see how this one goes, but after a short break. So far, Gambit are looking very dominant across the map. Gambit do look on Mirage very good indeed. They are likely to break the string of matches picked up by Complexity on Mirage. Their streak may be shoveled right now. Gambit are having a very solid chance to do so right now, to snatch out the pick off their enemy and make it 2-0 potentially. I mean, Gambit is such a dominant power that is hard to go against. They've been phenomenal in recent months. This team has grown a lot of confidence, a lot of things, shenanigans that most of the opposing teams cannot match up. And especially talking about Complexity, I still have belief towards them. 5 USPSs for a Gambit, a pretty standard Sarah right there. A wall of smokes deployed by Complexity will buy them some ground to work on. But there's still Navin and Hobbit firing those shots. Exile on top of the ladder does make it a 2-on-2. Playmath underneath drops Exile down and forces Inters into re-pick in the middle. He's about to get the frag. It does so. Also has an armor and a kit, a good combination. If put correctly, he may deliver a defuse right now. He's going to throw out a flashbang towards Palace and goes for the stick. Shakes his head. It's going to be a denial from JKS. Oh my lord, that was so close for being a defuse locked in, but they stay alive. It was 63 milliseconds, if I'm not mistaken. All right, just take a look at this one again. Below 1 second mark, it stopped at 0.82. So not 62 milliseconds, but rather 82. Okay, but that was quite close nonetheless. JK has the balls of steel to peek out and shatter him down to that position. Cities in recent years of CS have been buying the defuse kits quite a lot, so it is quite common for the city player to end up defusing the bomb with the kit. JKS made this round victory for Complexity, but the question is, are they going to be able to contest against this force buy by Gambit? A small gap for Hobbit, tiny, but that is not good enough for the frag. Hobbit goes down in this fight. Playmath opens it up for Complexity to run into the A-bomb site. Here, they sprawl. They do get another frag, opting for more spray downs through the smoke. And this will be a clean walk-in by Complexity. Just cleaning them up. Despite flashbangs scattered around the place, they will preserve 5 players across the board. And that will be a huge boost to their economy. They don't need to rebuy. They know that Gambit went for the force buy. And now having a real chance to pick up the 9th. I mean, there was too little that could bother them in achieving that mission. 5 USPSs across the board. They're gonna be going for the gamble stack. And so far, nicely positioned. 3 of the players of the Complexity are currently inching themselves closer to the A attack. But, you know, if they are more likely aware that it is an equal round potential. So the only thing that they have to do is to, you know, position Rush or Poison towards the B-bomb site, clear it out, and gather that extra information. So the only thing Complexity are waiting for right now is information to be gathered, because Gambit esports are not producing any sound at all. No clues to be hooked on by Complexity. Pure silence across the entire map. Now they're going to regroup over the A-bomb site. And imagine this comes against them. JKS throws out a molly. This does not force Inters into re-picking this one. He goes for the flash, but it deployed down there. Inters peeks out. Finally does get himself 2 frags. Hobbit with the USPS over the city. Deals a ton of damage. This round becomes quite costly for Complexity, I should say. But they still pick up this one in their favor. I mean, 5 USPSs. That is exactly what Gambit were aiming for. All of them stacked right on the A-bomb side. Complexity walks straight into the trap and they get themselves 3 frags. That is enormously huge for the economy damage onto Complexity. Gambit have done enough. You know, in that kind of a situation, you cannot account for more, right? You're having 5 pistols, 5 USPSs no less, against all of the players, all of the adversaries equipped with the better weapons, with AKs, MAC-10s, etc. I mean, it is just pure dismantle anticipated on the other side, of course. Config puts Exile down to rest in peace. In this round specifically, that is the 19th. A very powerful weapon held in a very powerful connection of claws under the name of Exile has now been eliminated. He's actually leading the score board with 16 frags. None of the players can brag about that. 3 of the rest went quite close to that mark. That is Inters, Navani, and Hobbit. And AWP onto Shiro has been able to find 8 frags only thus far. Complexity have found a window to group up themselves over the A-bomb side. Now they are flocking around that spot and instantly forced Gambit into saving their weapons. So maybe Mirage pick will go in favor of Complexity. Who knows? So far, getting this one very competitive against Gambit, no less. 4 of the defense units are more likely to stay alive at the end of this round. Jake has to stick around the bomb just to make sure nobody will come dare to defuse the bomb. Easy as it is. Gambit will lose the round, but give it out for Complexity. So they are 1 round in lead against the world's #1. Losing its feet in the past 3 rounds so far. Gambit not piecing together any round just yet. But this tactical pause coming through should definitely make this issue resolved. They want to talk things over and decide what are the frailties that are being exploited by Complexity thus far. Then go eliminate it and make sure it is their round. Easy as it sounds, but not easy as it is in practice, of course. It all depends on many aspects in this game. The timings, the positions, the individual aspect, the personal sense. You know, you can look away the time your enemy peeks out and that can ruin your day. So everything matters. You've got to be fully focused on each nitty-gritty happening around the game. All right, 9-10 in favor of Complexity, as I've already mentioned. A double up setup shared on both of the teams. Poison with an AWP plus Shiro with the same big brain on the other side. Gambit have chipped config down to 46 HP. Double nade deployed over the short. A massive one so far. Hobbit aggressing down the pit. JKS, taste of your own medicine, as you've been doing exactly the same in the past couple of rounds. On the first half, to be more precise, you'd been doing that all day long, and finally Hobbit says it is his territory this time around. You are nowhere to be found, JKS. You've been denied right there. 4 on 5. Gambit are having a man advantage. Rush boosting his teammate over to the window. That is play math. The man known to be equipped with a lot of muscles, but are those muscles capable enough to shut the defense of Gambit down? Shiro is heavily tagged, mind you. Here it comes. Blamaf, just as I say, does get a frag he needs and puts it into a 4-on-4. Shiro expects for the beat to be down right there. They swing wide, and Rush capitalized on that. Hobbit is still in the angle, but read by Config. They did not let this one slip through this time around, and that will be the round victory, perhaps, for Complexity. A ground-changing play from Config to jump on top of the crate and deny Hobbit right there. That could have been a massacre of itself if Hobbit had been allowed to stay in this position for a little bit longer. That could have been a bone denial, time pressure, and numbers dwindling for Complexity as well. Excuse me. That was a very volatile round. The coach, everybody else hyped up off of the round victory. Complexity do pick up a very crucial one. The fire featured just through their logo on top of your screen will indicate that they are having a huge round streak against Gambit. That tactical pause didn't seem to yield them anything. Although it was pretty close, but not close enough for the round victory. Gambit are still left with severe economy damage inflicted by Complexity from the previous rounds. And this will be left as a stigma on their shoulders in case they lose this round as well. Hobbit puts up a conversation over the palace area, does deny the first player of offensive. JKS out of the round already. That was the same in the previous round, and yet Complexity managed to pave their way back into the rounds. Rotated very fast indeed. Rush sprinting out of the B apartments does get the first up, but Exile still present behind the wall, just underneath. Gets the frag onto Confident out towards short, and Poison with the blame F. With an all to do up against 4, they stand a tall task to be fair. Poison does get a ding, but it is not enough for the competitive position to be in. Does get a frag to Exile, still shows some resistance, goes for an AK-47 instead to have a spray down potential. Wraps around, the time is running out of his claws, and that will be a frag done onto Shiro, but another from Navani. Just looking at his back makes it very easy for Gambit. Yeah, also a very good beginning for Hobbit right there on the palace position. It looked like he was very much ready to be caught off guard by JKS out there. He was looking the wrong way a couple of times, and yet nicely disciplined in terms of his trigger on the palace position. Hobbit made a Gambit go into the round number 10. That first opening definitely bought them a huge confidence, and so did for Shiro, as he now changes the positions with Hobbit and goes for an AWP aggression instead. He also has that position that to his right. He's not going to back off whatsoever. He waits for more bodies to appear right there. Config brought down to 25 HP over the ramp area. He does get a frag, but they will fall right into his crosshair. Shiro, so ubiquitous around the A-bomb side, gets himself 2 frags. So critical for Complexity as they lose 2 of the crucial members. Still 3-on-3, but Config so heavily bruised, he hasn't been able to calm himself out of the pit area unscathed. Shiro gets a frag onto Config despite an AWP present. JKS gets Shiro down through the wall, and that makes it a 2-on-1. Interest is so far away from engaging with his players. This is going to be a relatively easy bomb play delivered. Nobody to knock on the door and cause havoc all over the place. Interest coming all the way through the AFs. This may be a turning card for Gambit to capitalize on. Complexity should bear this possibility in mind. Interest might see a gun barrel protruding. He sees the entire body, in fact. Does get it done. Blame F down, but JKS still alive and does get the frag onto the jumping player. Nicely done. Complexity with the 12th round on their boards. I mean, Shiro is such a nuclear weapon, is such a nuclear power with an AWP. He can, he's up to unspeakable things. He did 3 kills in the round. And all thanks to him, nobody else contributed. 3 frags only from Shiro. That may be heartbreaking for Gambit because that looked to be a very well settled round for them instead, rather than Complexity. Right now, Complexity are having a really solid chance to close out this map. They are having a potential to pick up the 13th because while analyzing the setup from Gambit, their set piece lacks a lot. And a lot is not a deaf sound. Nafany's position has not been checked by Config, and that may give Gambit a possibility to turn this run upside down. Poison, met by the AK-47 shots. Rush in the connector has been surrounded by both of the angles. Does get the first, but not good for the second. It is Exile to get the spray down through the box. Yeah, better not forecasted this way. I was going to say that Complexity will be able to pick up the 13th round, but Gambit turning this round just in front of their eyes. Config did not see that coming whatsoever. You can read that. You can read it by his emotions. Replay shown, and makes you feel even more sure about the victory for Gambit in the previous round. Now just 1 round away. Complexity, I don't think they will be able to turn this one upside down as well. I mean, there is just no way. No way they can revert it back in their favor after Gambit did that with them. It is the offensive side, no less. Much harder to go up against the cities with better weapons, especially when you don't have enough firepower to work with. Only 1 player with an armor left on their side. He will fall as well. And so does Blamaf at the edge of the precipice with 38 HP. To sprawl back to the B apps. He had been missed out the time Complexity were executing the B boom site. Now he joins their line buddies. Their dead bodies, the cadavers, spread across the B site. And Shiro will be the last one to put up a cherry on top. So Gambit get up to the tiebreaker. Make it 12-12. The round number 25 is soon to kick in. And everybody present on the Gambit side. I mean, Complexity, a really tight game for them so far. Gambit showing that they are capable of firing back, but then Complexity also finding the power they need to bounce back in the contention like that. Shiro has been cut off with a smoke towards middle, quite a standard one. Complexity going for a pretty quick pace over the middle. Nafany tucks himself fully under the crate. If Config makes himself out of the smoke the time he was looking at the earth, that could have been a frag for him instead, but no, Nafany catches him off instead. And Gambit already buying the man advantage for themselves in the beginning of the round. Before it hit 120-minute mark, it is already them leading the score by means of the players and the weapons as well. Poison playing with Galileo, the best weapon to be playing with. An AWP would have been a much better option for him to consider, but since the economy is heavily restrained on their side, they cannot go for that kind of an investment. Easy maths, so to speak, will let you calculate the possibilities of players playing with either of the weapons. Hobbit extinguishes the molly, and that will put pressure onto Complexity players even more as they are going to execute the A-bomb side. Shiro with an AWP, smoke covering off Hobbit just enough to stay alive in this position. Complexity are about to fall at seams. Poison does get a frag with Galil. Blamaf as well comes in with a frag onto AK-47. Rush Finds himself one more. Maybe good for one more as well. That's a sloppy spray down by Intors. But instead, taps him out in the end. Playmath cannot connect the shot he needs. And that will be the victory for Gambit. The 13th round. That looked to be a very nice attempt by Complexity. Even though I was dead sure that it would be a round for Gambit for sure. They made it look very, very possible. You know, just caught up with the smokes. Really a lot of pressure. The time that we're actually to the A-bomb side, Gambit players have already been stacked over the A. Already rotated the entire force to that side of the map specifically. Intor's the only man far away from the action, but he was from short. Could pick up that important frag onto one more player out of offensive, and that, you know, the last one from Exile as well. Not a big trouble for them to crack open the A-bomb side as they retake it. The first tactical pause used out by Complexity. The right time to do so, probably the best. To not let Gambit go far away from the current score line. The farther you go, more pressure will mount on your shoulders. That is experience tested. 13th round for Gambit. If this one goes in favor of them, 2-round difference will be established for Gambit in a way more confident position to be in. So Complexity, they've got to win now the rounds to tie up the scoreline. They're going for exactly that one. If they lose it, they will have a bye as well. And they're following up. Lots of utility. Splurge into the B-bomb site. Here they come. All rolling out of the B apartments. 3 of the players are still up towards that. Exile will hear the bomb being planted out. Nafany locates himself every bit closer. Still holds strong with an M4A4. Poison about to see him coming out of the angle. He does get the shot, but Playmath is all alone to deal with them on his lonesome. Not going to be seen even close for success. Complexity will lose the round, and Gambit with the 14th. Now full buys on both of the sides. Complexity had been two rounds in the lead beyond Gambit's score line, but now it is Gambit taking 2 as their lead. Config, 1 player of offensive drops. Leaving Exile on 15 HP, but that is the player alive, so a way better situation here for Gambit right now. 3 players over to the A-bomb side. Shiro is really getting himself through the city spawn with an AWP. Gonna be peering his AWP down the ramp position thus far. Rather goes for a palace check. Nobody's having that one covered. There's JKS over that side of the map. 3 of the rest are currently heading around the mid position. Nafany expects for the pick to be done into the window area. Playmath falls. Hobbit. This is going to come down to the timing. But there is an AWP set onto Palace. Now the R2 strongly set up towards it. But JKS, great flashbang deployed to buy him the frag he needs. But nothing more. It's just poison. Poor poison. Behind the mollies will be found by Intors. And an easy round for Gambit as well. The map point on the map pick of their enemies. Just 1 round away from closing it out. It all started with a great pick onto the short. Exile took the first player of attack down. It was Config. Interest with 20 kills, Nafany 22, Exile is either Hobbit 18 and Shiro with 17. Everybody bringing the element of impact they need. Exile just on top of the shorts. He's the first, prays it down, connects it very well. Cannot be backfired by complexity, and this all collapses. That seems the Molly deployed down towards the underground area. Nobody's up close, but that is a huge man advantage brought up for Gambit. Also very puny players left with puny weapons. A Mac-10 and an AK-47. Down it falls. Heavily bruised player remaining. He will experience his death as well. And that will be a collection of enemies to pick up the very first map for Gambit. So congratulations. That was I wouldn't say a very easy pickup for Gambit. Complexity definitely showed a very good sign of bringing it back on Mirage. They had a very good lead in their favor, but then could not piece together a couple of more rounds to close out this match. Even though I can consider it a success for Complexity, I mean, even if they are going to be dropped out of the tournament, because this is the elimination match, I'm not going to be disappointed about that whatsoever, because they've still shown quite a good performance right now. And if they keep it up to this level, if they continue shaping up the roster they're shaping it right now, we can see them drawing a bigger picture into future events of this year. So we're going to break this down into pieces, but after a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and don't go anywhere. This is the first pick picked up. We're going to hand over to the analyst desk, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Lord, I didn't know it wouldn't be dropped over to the analyst desk. No, gosh, I mistook it. I forgot about this, Lord. I should have said we're gonna go for a very short break, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. All right. Never mind, shit happens. Couldn't close out my cast in a beautiful way. But all right, it's totally fine. We will work on that even more and deliver way better casts along my improvement.